one of the best, if not the best, primetime game so far for you here in Week 7 as the Miami Dolphins fly up to Philly to take on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. This is going to be an amazing game. Potential Super Bowl. I feel confident saying potential Super Bowl, preview, because I can see both these teams, just the overall talent on the team, the way that they have been playing. Could see them both playing in the Super Bowl. But I say that the way both these teams have been playing, want to quickly throw it over to you, and we're in agreement on this. And the Philadelphia's shocking loss today to Zach Wilson and the New York Jets. Jalen Hurts had 3 turnovers. The team offense looked out of sync. Defense, I think, looked fine. They did have some injuries though, but that had been kind of a consistent theme, and we saw some arguments on the sideline last week with the Los Angeles Rams. Just some stuff in the locker room. It seems like, and I'm not saying it's like guys don't like each other. I think there's just the overall level of expectations that they have.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that today where they just struggled to just perform offensively against this Jets team.
That to me, I think on the offensive side of the ball, they didn't play a whole lot of a preseason with these players. Actually, I don't think Jalen Hurts even took a preseason snap. And so we saw like they had some rough spots in the New England game in Week 1. But granted, they could have just been playing conservative because they got up 16-0. But then we just haven't quite seen them like truly explode onto the scene yet this year. And then this week they kind of showed up with a whimper. Like they didn't really do anything. Jalen Hurts looked a step behind on all the plays. Even like the final play toss to Devontae Smith, it's like he needs to throw that ball as soon as Devontae Smith starts to beat the guy, not take 2 side shuffles to the left. And then for me, this Eagles offense, I think they're missing Shane Steichen a lot, and just kind of going through the growing pains, kind of what we saw with the Bills after Brian Dabble left, and I forget the guy's name who came in there, but just similar growing pains that we're seeing with the Philadelphia Eagles here. So it's going to be interesting. To me, the offensive side of the ball isn't going to be as big of an issue this week because this Miami Dolphins the defense is not very good. And I think they match up pretty well on the defensive side of the ball with the Dolphins. And we can talk a little bit about that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll talk about it here in a second. I think more just in general, though, it's that's one thing I've noticed. The biggest thing for me, it comes from the offensive line, and maybe just because last year we just got so used to them just dominating the offensive line. And we've seen their offensive line have dominant performances. I would say like the Vikings game was just a dominant offensive line performance. I thought they did well against the Commanders.
Yeah.
I thought they did it overall decent against who they play in Week 4. Like on who they played in Week 4. But we start to see some struggles, though, with the Rams last week when they traveled. But in general, though, I think they did lose Cam Jurgens. He's on IR right now. Lane Johnson also went down in this game, didn't return because of an ankle injury, their right tackle. So that'll be something to monitor throughout the week as well. They in
the Buccaneers.
Buccaneers. That's what. Yeah, they dominated the Buccaneers game. But in the offseason, offensive line-wise, they did lose Isaac Seumalo in free agency and Andre Dillard in free agency as well. So just some newer guys coming in. I'm curious if maybe there's still some of that is getting used to one another, still just learning the assignments, understanding, like in this situation, everybody just knows who has who. They get the run blocking, pass blocking assignments together. Having Sua Opita, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, sir, but this was his first start in place of Cam Jurgens, if I'm not mistaken. Some growing pains from there potentially as well. But just in general, though, that I know this Jets defense is really good, but they didn't have Sauce Gardner. They didn't have DJ Reader. They had a lot of their secondary was out from injuries for concussions or just other types of injuries, and yet it seemed like they just struggled to move the ball in general, only putting up 2 touchdowns. So something that'll be interesting to watch. To your point, though, they are going up against, I would say, a much weaker defense than Miami. But Miami's defense is also built for a shootout to go up against a high-powered team. Is that I'm wondering if maybe the game plan that they're going to bring into the Sunday night matchup is DeAndre Swift and then like just more DeAndre Swift, just running through the tackles, just run all over them to the best of their ability. Then that'll open up to Devontae Smith or AJ Brown. AJ Brown has been having a whale of a game the past couple of games. So, but let's move on to Miami, though. They're also having a couple injuries as well. Devon A-Chain is on IR. Their star running back, rookie running back, Xavier Howard also got hurt during the game as well. Kind of mentioned that as well previously. But in general, though, Miami's going to have to just keep doing what they've been doing. Get Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle out in space. Get Raheem Mercer out in space as well, because those three are the fastest guys in the NFL. But they're going to have to make sure their offensive line is protecting Tua, because in the one loss that they had against Buffalo Bills, Bills were able to provide good pressure. Their defensive front was able to disrupt Tua by making sure the offensive line got messed up on their assignments. And I think that's what Fletcher Cox, I think that's what Jalen Carter and company are going to be doing. Hassan Reddick, I think they're just going to be putting a lot of pressure on Tua, because I think that is the way that the Eagles defense can shut down this Miami Dolphins offense, is make sure Tua doesn't have time and Tyreek Hill doesn't have time to get open and then just pick this defense apart.
That to me, so earlier when I mentioned that the Philadelphia Eagles, I think, match up really well with the Miami Dolphins on the defensive side of the ball. Philadelphia is they are in like second to last or last place in blitzes run and like overall stunts run. Like they just line up their 4 or 5 guys and then like they get after the passer, and they're still top 5 in the league in pressure percentage. They're not quite as good as they were last year. But that they had like 70 sacks last year, which is that's hard to do. That's hard to replicate. So for me, if they can do that and still drop 7 guys into coverage, I think they'll have a pretty good chance of being able to slow down this Miami Dolphins offense and kind of keep this game from getting out of hand, especially if this offense can stay on the field, prolong these drives. If I'm Nick Sirianni and I have anything short of 2 yards on 3rd or 4th down, I am doing I am going for the tush push and just getting the first down. Just make this game go as quick as possible. Keep all that speed on the sideline, and I think that they'll be okay. So I want to throw it over to you here and see who your prediction is for this one. But before we do that, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup.
Yep. For me, I'm going back and forth in my head. I'm changing my pick right now and just going back and forth, because I was going back and forth, but I'm actually going to go with Philly. I think that they're going to win this game. I think this loss today was going to be the kick in the butt that they need to be like, okay, let's get our stuff together. And then at the same time, I also feel they just match up really well against Miami, just because of what we talked about there. I think Jalen Carter is going to be able to get after Tua. I think they're going to be able to disrupt this elite passing speed that they have. And to your point, I think they should be able to run the ball very effectively against this team and against this Miami defense, which then I think they'll want the time of possession. They'll want to have 35, 40-minute time of possession to make sure Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and all the speedsters are on the sideline for as long as possible. I think that being at home, primetime game, tough, embarrassing loss to Zach Wilson, I think that's going to be motivating enough for them to come away with the victory here this Sunday night.
That for me, I'm going to go with the Eagles as well. I think they will just be able to out-physical the Miami Dolphins in both trenches. And I know Miami, like, this offense looks invincible, but even like the Buffalo Bills were able to establish a really solid run game against them. And the Bills' run game is much improved this year, but it's still not anywhere even near close to what Philly has been able to do. And to me, I just keep going back to that game, and it was like the Bills were able to get pressure on Tua, and like we saw what this offense did, and so that for me, I think just shows that the Eagles have the clear ability to take control over this game and just completely out physical what the Dolphins could be able to do. So I'm looking forward to it. This is probably the biggest matchup of the week, and it'll be exciting to see what happens. So let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.